ये आकाशवाणी है। विशेष कार्यक्रम के अंतर्गत प्रस्तुत है भारत पाकिस्तान के बीच सीज फायर और मौजूदा स्थिति पर परिचर्चा। इसमें भाग ले रहे हैं पूर्व राजदूत अशोक सज्जनहार और सामरिक विश्लेषक अतुल अनेजा। कार्यक्रम का संचालन कर रहे हैं वरिष्ठ पत्रकार विशाल दहिया।
Namaskar and welcome to Akashwani. I am Vishal Dahiya. India and Pakistan today announced ceasefire, agreeing to stop firing and military action with immediate effect. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri made this announcement in New Delhi. He said Pakistan's Director General of Military Operations initiated the call for ceasefire. It was agreed that both sides would stop all firing and military action on land, in the air and sea. Instructions have been given on both sides to give effect to the understanding. Mr. Misri also added that the Director General of Military Operations from both sides will talk again on Monday.
The Director General of Military Operations of Pakistan called the Director General of Military Operations of India at 15:35 hours earlier this afternoon. It was agreed between them that both sides would stop all firing and military action on land and in the air and sea with effect from 1700 hours Indian Standard Time today. Instructions have been given on both sides to give effect to this understanding. The Director General of Military Operations will talk again on the 12th of May at 1200 hours.
Sources said the stoppage of firing and military action between India and Pakistan was worked out directly between both the countries. It was also stressed that there is no decision to hold talks on any other issue at any other place. But with the news just coming in, Pakistani army has violated ceasefire hours after agreeing to stop firing and military action by both countries. Our correspondent has reported that a drone has been spotted near LOC in Punch of Jammu and Kashmir. More details are awaited. Meanwhile, as we wait for these details, let me introduce the two experts who are also available with us today and try and understand the developing situation on the ceasefire. Also, blackout reports have been received from Bardmer in Rajasthan hours after this ceasefire was agreed upon by both the countries. So we have with us in the studio Mr. Atul Aneja, a strategic expert and security analyst, and we're also joined on by former ambassador Ashok Sajjanhar. Welcome both of you gentlemen. Mr. Aneja, I'd like to first bring you in here. 5 p.m. A ceasefire was agreed to. It was announced a bit later, and it has just been less than 5 hours. The violation has started from the Pakistani side again.
Yeah, this casts doubt about the longevity of the ceasefire, Vishal, to be honest, because the level of violence and which is taking place, according to what we have heard till now, is of concern, and therefore one would only hope that both sides adhere to this understanding which was reached today. Otherwise, we are going back to square one, and then a new cycle can begin. So we are once again in a phase of uncertainty, in accordance with what reports we are getting, that things are again going south.
Does this also raise some very significant, important questions? Because, and those questions have been asked time and again as far as the political and the military structure in Pakistan is concerned. Because imagine a country, agreeing to a ceasefire, and within hours, its military, its officers on the line of control are not adhering to it. Drones are being fired. There are small arms fire and mortar fire. These kinds of reports coming in. Is there some sort of duplicity in the command structure there?
See, that's a very important question. That how cohesive is the command and control structure of Pakistan? I agree with you that it casts a huge doubt on that, assuming that there have actually instructions been passed from the top which are not being adhered to by the troops on the ground. So if you assume that, then your point is very valid, that then what about the integrity of the command and control, which leads to further doubts about the behavior of the Pakistan military in other circumstances as well. Second scenario, that this was a duplicitous game right from the beginning, that instructions have actually not been issued on the ground, which, to be honest, that I very much doubt, because for General Asim Munir, it's a good thing for a ceasefire, because the way the momentum was being built by India against Pakistan, there would have been a huge setbacks likely in the days to come. So it's a little puzzling, because to me, if they violate the ceasefire, that would mean that India goes back and targets them again, and that may not, given the asymmetry of the military powers, that may not go down very well for Asim Munir itself. So it's a bit of a fluid situation. Sometimes, Vishal, it happens that orders are passed. There is that pent-up kind of adrenaline at the troops on the ground, and it takes a little while for it to settle in. But even then, a few hours have passed. That particular cycle should have been over by now.
Yes.
So we are completely in a fluid zone right now, and all the balls are in the air of what might happen to this so-called ceasefire.
You spoke about the duplicity of the situation, and of course, in a large military force like Pakistan has, it is not possible for a message, such an important message, to have been passed on, or not passed on rather. Now, the question which remains is that by India, by agreeing to the Pakistan's suggestion that let's agree to a ceasefire, because the call was made by Pakistan's DGMO at 3:35 p.m. to Indian DGMO, India had given a sort of a reprieve to them. Why aren't they taking it? Because, for the past 72 hours, we've hit them really hard, everywhere, both in air, on the ground as well. We've repelled all their aggression on all sides. This is the time for them to take a break, perhaps, count their losses.
I agree with you. So many times it happens, it's a game of optics, and the domestic audiences come into play here. We have had visuals of Indian attacks on Pakistani airfields today, and I think that particular sort of a war of optics is going on right now, or could be going on right now, and Pakistan wants to show to its own people that we are on a high vis-a-vis India. So you continue with this process for a few more hours. So I could see some domestic compulsions coming in for this kind of behavior. But frankly, looking at it from a strategic perspective, it makes no sense to me for them to violate the ceasefire.
Okay. Ambassador Sajjanhar is also with us now. Ambassador Sajjanhar, welcome to Spotlight on Akashvani. We're talking about, Mr. Atul Aneja is also here with us. We're talking about the ceasefire between India and Pakistan, and how within just few hours of its declaration, there are reports of ceasefire being violated by the Pakistani side. Trying to understand the situation here, what might be the rationale or the reason behind the Pakistan continuing with its aggression across the LOC now?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on the show. I would like to get a little more information about the violation of this ceasefire, because obviously, as you have been discussing with Mr. Aneja, the call was made by the Pakistan DGMO. So obviously, they have been at the receiving end. They have been really cornered. So it is, they are the ones who want reprieve from the onslaught that has been taking place and the punishment that they are suffering from India. So I would like to get some more details in terms of, I don't think it would be a breakdown of the ceasefire across the whole of line of control and IB, etc. So what is the extent, what is the nature, how much has it happened? But I would think that these might be initial teething troubles, and hopefully by tomorrow or so things would settle down as instructions would reach everyone that both the countries have agreed to a ceasefire. So I, at this moment, without having full details, I really would not like to comment, because it doesn't make any sense, strategic or military or political sense,
okay,
for Pakistan to continue with this with the fighting on the border.
Okay, Ambassador Sajjanhar, of course, we're also waiting for the details from our correspondents on the ground at various places, verifying the reports as well, and of course, as you're pointing out, trying to judge the extent of the violation, whether these are isolated incidents or this is a structured, planned move as well. We'll come back to that one a little bit later once we have more details. But going once again, moving back again on the entire ceasefire issue, what we're given to understand is that two aspects here, Mr. Sajjanhar, we'd like to understand a bit more. Is the fact that one aspect is that this entire ceasefire agreement was worked out directly between the two countries. And two, India has clearly pointed out that there is no decision to hold talks on any other issue at any other place, and the issues like Indus water treaty still remains in abeyance. So we are making it clear. India is making it clear that as far as the non-kinetic actions are concerned, they're still very much in place.
There is no doubt about it that this is very much in place. In my mind, there is no doubt, and I don't think that Indus Waters Treaty is not really linked to the ceasefire per se. It is linked to the acts of terrorism by Pakistan. You would recall that when the decision was taken at the meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Security on the 23rd, it was said that it was being kept in abeyance till Pakistan is able to irrevocably and convincingly, credibly prove that it is abjuring terrorism. And that, of course, we know that neither has it done so far, nor will it be doing, there can be any expectation that Pakistan will do so in the near future, because terrorism is used as an instrument of its state policy by Pakistan. So I don't think that would be happening, and I don't think we should give 100% credence to what Mr. Marco Rubio has said in his because we have seen that as far as this current US government is concerned, it is given to exaggeration, and again, as we've been discussing, the finalization of the ceasefire has happened in terms of discussions between the DGMOs of the two countries. And of course, more discussions are to be held day after tomorrow.
Okay. And
so I think let's wait for the final version that we get from our own government. But I don't have the slightest doubt that both these aspects, meeting in a neutral side, because, ultimately, if you come to think of it, what is there to discuss between India and Pakistan? We don't have high commissioners in each other's countries. They were removed in 2019 after Article 370 was abrogated, and they were removed at the instance of Pakistan. Your listeners would recall. And over the last 5-6 years, there has been no conversation between the two sides, because we have said that talks and terror cannot go together. So there have been no talks between the two sides.
Okay.
So here the only issue was that, we had done in response to the Pahalgam attacks, we had done what we had to do in terms of Operation Sindoor, hitting out at these terrorist strongholds and hideouts.
Okay.
After that, we said that if Pakistan does not retaliate, then as far as we are concerned, that story is over for the time being.
Okay. Mr. Aneja, as Mr. Sajjanhar was mentioning, let's talk about the entire Operation Sindoor, because it started with that dastardly attack on April 22nd in Pahalgam, wherein civilians, tourists were killed by terrorists, and India had a right to respond, and it responded on 7th of May at around 1 a.m. in the morning by targeting 9 terror launch pads deep within the Pakistani territory. And after that, in response to Pakistan's provocation, Islamabad's offensive and defensive defensive capabilities were dismantled. Well, it was a measured but very significant response. How do you assess these 3.5 days, the Operation Sindoor, and the key takeaways, and what India achieved from it?
Well, the first thing was that our focus was very clear. Our focus was terror and to enforce deterrence on terrorance. In order to do that, we did these deep strikes inside Pakistan, not just POK, those 9 particular locations on which we targeted. 2 are of great significance. First was Markaz-e-Sohan-Allah in Bhawalpur. Very, very important, because you couldn't have hit the Jaish-e-Mohammed harder, as we know that was the headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammed. And that is a very, very important strike, because Jaish-e-Mohammed has been involved in such dastardly attack like the Parliament attack in 2001, their role in Pathankot, their collaboration with the Lashkar-e-Toiba in the Mumbai terror attack. So we had to, it was a very, very important strike, A, to demonstrate India's capability that we can go up to Multan and hit you, and B, the specificity of the target. So that was a very, very important attack. The second, which I think the strike was in Muridke. Never happened earlier, very close to Lahore. We went and hit Markaz-e-Taiba, which is the headquarters of the Lashkar-e-Taiba. Again, we don't have to go, explain how damaging in terms of terror Lashkar-e-Taiba has been. The TRF, the offshoot of Lashkar, which was responsible for the Pahalgam attack. So we went ahead and we struck them very hard. So I think that remained a very, very pivotal point, because we reinforce our zero tolerance for against terrorism. And probably, I thought, since both these organizations, the Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba, are UN proscribed organizations, the world recognizes them as banned terror outfits. So we were fighting really this, this war. It was of global significance that we hit both these targets. I think that was the beginning of Op Sindoor. Mm-hmm. And when the National Security Advisor spoke to his counterparts across the globe, there was this announcement that for us Op Sindoor is over, and we don't want any other escalation. Then comes the next cycle, when that next night, which is 7th night, 8th morning, when Pakistan strikes a number of Indian military establishments, starting right from Srinagar on the top, Avantipura, mm-hmm. down to Bhuj. And that begins the next cycle in the engagements which happened.
And then later on targeting the civilian areas as well.
Absolutely.
Which was thwarted by the air defense systems here.
The drone attacks which came over there, they were all foiled. And then we struck back, because our response was that we will not initiate, but if you do, then we will retaliate in kind. Mm-hmm. And then India hits a number of targets inside Pakistan, including outside the cricket stadium in Rawalpindi, and one strike very close to the ISI headquarters. So the message was very clear: you mess around with us, we'll give you back. So that cycle, then again, that was the escalation then the Pakistan starts again from their side. So we went into the cycles, and the escalation was happening. Uh-huh. I think one very important development which took place was when it was announced by the Pakistani side that the meeting of National Strategic Command is taking place. Uh-huh. Now that is I think that's where the Americans Marco Rubio calls Asim Munir directly, because National Strategic Command means nuclear weapons. So I think that's where the pressure came on the Pakistanis, that hold on now you got to back down on this. As a result of which we had this call finally among the DGMOs at the behest of the Pakistanis. Uh-huh. So that's where we are at the ceasefire, because any further escalation would have been very, very damaging to Pakistan, and that's where they sought for a ceasefire.
Okay. Mr. Sajjanhar, since we're talking about the issue of deterrence and Operation Sindoor and what we achieved here, India has also made it very clear that any future act of terror will be construed as an act of war, and we will respond accordingly. So So two set of questions here. One is that have we put that fear of deterrence after Operation Sindoor? Have we been successful in it? That's one. And two, we've also reserved our right to strike and consider it as an act of war if it happens again. So we are moving ahead on that path.
Yes, I think that's a very important development that has taken place. And, that is really a change in our doctrine. Because I think if you look at how our response to terror has been, particularly as far as the current government is concerned, because, in the previous government, what happened on 26/11, we did have the whole world with us. We did have the whole country with the government. It was united because, the whole thing took place in full view of television cameras. There were about 170 people who were massacred as a result of that terrorist attack. And we did have one, terrorist who was captured alive, Ajmal Kasab. And he spilled all the beans as to how he and his colleagues had been trained by the ISI, by the Pakistan Army, etc., etc. So I think we had all reasons to strike even at that time, but we did not. But as far as this government is concerned, if you look at it, what happened in Uri in September 2016, we sort of, responded to that with surgical strikes. And then after that, after 3 years, what happened in Pulwama, that was responded to by this attack in Balakot, again the headquarters of terrorist strongholds, headquarters of where the Jaish terrorists were also holed up there. So Uri, after the surgical strikes in Uri, gave us a reprieve of about 3 years or so. After Balakot, we see that we got a reprieve of about 6 years or so, from there to 2025. Now, I think Operation Sindoor, standing just by itself, I think in terms of both qualitative as well as the quantum jump that has, it has witnessed, and the precision with which these attacks have been carried out and how successful they have been. So I think Operation Sindoor on its own would have given us a huge reprieve of, about 10 years or so, because the message would go to the perpetrators of these crimes that if such a thing as Pahalgam happens, it's not going to go unresponded, it's going to go responded in a very significant way. And I think what Operation Sindoor has also brought out is how far ahead India is of Pakistan as far as, the military field is concerned, that arena is concerned. Meaning when we struck, there was not a single missile of ours that they could intercept. And all of them hit their targets, which they were intended, and all of them very, very precisely. And when they tried to hit, shoot missiles at us and others, our anti-air defense system, that was able to block off all such attacks. So how well we are protected and how vulnerable Pakistan is. So I think that itself would have given us a reprieve, but this change of doctrine, I think that has that would further instill the fear in Pakistan that if they were to resort to any such action in future, then the response is going to be crippling as far as they are concerned. They've been able to get away with just punishment over 2-3 days. The next time it happens, it's going to be much worse and much severe. Punishment is going to be meted to them.
जी अनेजा जी, आप इससे सहमत हैं जो एम्बेसडर सज्जनार कह रहे हैं, क्योंकि एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण पहलू है ऑपरेशन सिंदूर का, और उसके बाद 3 दिनों तक जिस तरह की प्रोवोकेशन पाकिस्तान की तरफ से हुई और उसका जो सटीक जवाब हमारी जो सशस्त्र सेना है, चाहे वो हमारे जवान हो या फिर हमारी एयरफोर्स हो, जिस तरह से जवाब दिया गया कि वो जो एयर और लैंड सुपीरियोरिटी जो है कन्वेंशनल वॉरफेयर में, वो हमने साबित कर दी है। हमारे हथियार कितने सुपीरियर हैं, उसके अलावा हमारी प्लानिंग और एग्जीक्यूशन कितनी सुपीरियर है, ये सब साबित हो चुका है। अब पिछले 3-3.5 दिन जो ऑपरेशन सिंदूर की शुरुआत के बाद से जो चला कि हम हमारी एयरफोर्स जहां चाहे वहां हमला करके और पाकिस्तान के अंदर जो टारगेट है उसको अचीव कर सकती है, और उनके द्वारा किया गया अगर कोई हमला है तो हम उसे बिल्कुल नाकाम कर सकते हैं।
नहीं, ये नए मैसेज है, जिसे अशोक जी कह रहे थे कि डॉक्ट्रिन चेंज हो रहा है। अब डॉक्ट्रिन के अंदर एक नया एलिमेंट जो आ गया है वो ये है कि अगर आप आतंकवादी हमला कोई करते हैं, वो दैट विल बी कंसिडर्ड एन एक्ट ऑफ वॉर, एस्केलेशन बहुत ज्यादा। ये इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि अगली बार अगर पाकिस्तान ऐसी जरूरत करता है तो फिर सीधा युद्ध होगा। तो ये एक नए डॉक्ट्रिन से मुझे लगता है कि एक बार तो ये है कि जो पाकिस्तान की आदत है, टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट, रिप्रीव कुछ साल तक नहीं होगा। अब वो गेम को खत्म करना है हमने, कि एक परमानेंट एंड चाहिए टेररिज्म का। और मुझे लगता है भारत की मंशा यही है कि ये आतंकवाद का खेल बंद करो। और इससे अगर पाकिस्तान फिर से अटैक करता है तो भारत की जो जवाबी कार्रवाई होगी वो बहुत ही तीव्र होगी। इसलिए मुझे लगता है कि अब ये हम आगे बढ़ गए हैं, डिटरेंस को एनफोर्स करने के जो मंशा है वो हम आगे बढ़ गए हैं। और शायद हमें पाकिस्तान के अंदर कोई एक स्ट्रक्चरल चेंज एनफोर्स करने की जरूरत है, क्योंकि ये जो हो रहा है आतंकवाद, अगर उसकी जड़ तक जाए तो उसकी रूट जो जाती है मिलिट्री और मिलिट्री के अंदर ISI में। और जब तक जो संतुलन है सिविलियन और मिलिट्री के बीच में, जब तक उसमें बदलाव नहीं आएगा, दैट इज जब तक मिलिट्री एक सिविलियन इलेक्टेड गवर्नमेंट के नीचे नहीं होगी या उससे उसका एक सिविलियन गवर्नमेंट रियल डिसीजन मेकर जब होगी, तब जाके वो स्ट्रक्चरल चेंज आ सकता है। आपको याद होगा कि ये कोशिश हुई थी जो पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री थे पाकिस्तान के नवाज शरीफ की तरफ, जब उन्होंने जो आर्मी चीफ थे उस टाइम जनरल मुशर्रफ को बर्खास्त कर दिया था, लेकिन उसके बाद एक मिलिट्री coup हो गया, तो वो एक साइकिल खत्म हो गया है। लेकिन शायद हमें, अगर हम एक परमानेंट सोल्यूशन चाहते हैं तो हमें इसके भी डीपर जाना पड़ेगा कि डिटरेंस को एनफोर्स करना है। और अगर हम एक एनफोर्स अंदरूनी बदलाव, एक स्ट्रक्चरल चेंज पाकिस्तान में कर सके, तो मुझे लगता है कि वो फिर एक हमारी लॉन्ग टर्म सफलता होगी। सिर्फ मैनेज करने की बात नहीं है टेररिज्म, क्योंकि टेररिज्म का एक्चुअल खात्मा करने की बात होगी पाकिस्तान से।
जी जी, मिस्टर सज्जनहार, हम पाकिस्तान की बात कर रहे हैं और क्योंकि ऑपरेशन सिंदूर का जो असर दिखाई पड़ना चाहिए, खासतौर पे अगर आने वाले समय की बात करें पाकिस्तान के लिहाज से देखें, क्योंकि एक डिटरेंस को एक, जैसा कि आपने कहा, एक नई डॉक्ट्रिन है, हम एक अलग लेवल पर उसको लेकर जा रहे हैं अब, और एक्ट ऑफ वॉर माना जाएगा अगर दोबारा से इस तरह की कोई आतंकी हरकत होती है तो। लेकिन इसका समाधान ढूंढने के लिए आपको लगता है कि कुछ बदलाव पाकिस्तान के भीतर भी देखने को मिल सकते हैं, जिस तरह से उनको पिछले 3-4 दिन में जो मुंह की खानी पड़ी है उसका कुछ असर वहां देखने को मिलेगा, और कुछ उसका असर जब वहां देखने को मिलेगा तो फिर ये जो पूरी आतंक के खिलाफ लड़ाई है उसमें शायद कुछ सफलता और मिले।
जी, आपने ये बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण पहलू उठाया है, और मैं इसमें थोड़ा सा ये कहना चाहूंगा। देखिए, बहुत तरीके से मेरे विचार से वहां पर अंदरूनी हालात में अंतर देखने को मिल सकता है। देखिए, एक तो हमेशा से जो पाकिस्तान की फौज है वो ये हमेशा से प्रोजेक्ट करती है जो भारत पाकिस्तान का सबसे बड़ा शत्रु है, और भारत से अगर सिक्योरिटी चाहिए, सुरक्षा चाहिए, तो सबसे केवल पाकिस्तान की सेना ही उनको ये दे सकती है। तो इसीलिए पाकिस्तान की सेना के पास उनके अपने टॉयज होने चाहिए, जो भी हैं, नए नए इक्विपमेंट होना चाहिए, नई सब प्रकार की, और सभी कुछ है जो कंटोनमेंट में सब फैसिलिटी, सब सहूलियतें। जब ये जनरल्स रिटायर करते हैं तो इनको कितनी जमीन दी जाती है, इनको कितने बिजनेसेस दिए जाते हैं, और पाकिस्तान फौज के भी कितने वहां पर बिजनेसेस रन करते हैं। मतलब वो बिल्कुल ही जैसे फ्यूडल लॉर्ड्स हुए उसी प्रकार की जो सभी उनको सुविधाएं हैं, फैसिलिटीज हैं, वो उनको मिलती हैं। तो एक तो मैं समझता हूं वहां की जनता सोचेगी जो ये तो भारत के विरुद्ध 2 दिन भी नहीं खड़े हो सके, 3 दिन नहीं खड़े हो सके, ये हमारी क्या सुरक्षा करने के लिए। तो हम इनको इतना इनके ऊपर जो इतना पैसा लुटाते हैं, इनको जो बड़े बड़े कंटोनमेंट्स हैं, बड़े बड़े घर हैं, सब सोफिस्टिकेटेड वेपनरी और इक्विपमेंट आता है, तो इसका क्या फायदा है। तो एक तो उनके दिल में मनमुटाव ये हो सकता है जो सेना के विरुद्ध उनके मन में कुछ ऐसी भावना जागे। और ये अगर ऐसा होता है तो जैसे अतुल जी बोल रहे थे, जो वहां पर जो इलेक्टेड सरकार है, डेमोक्रेटिकली इलेक्टेड सरकार है, मतलब ये तो अब बहुत ही अचंभे की बात है जो अभी 75-78 साल हो गए हैं आजादी के पाकिस्तान की भी, परंतु एक भी वहां पर जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली इलेक्टेड गवर्नमेंट है वो अपना पूरी टर्म अभी तक नहीं पूरी कर पाई। उसके अलावा देखिए, मैं ये बात भी देखता हूं जो वहां पर बलूचिस्तान में आजकल क्या हालात चल रहे हैं, तो जब वहां के बलोच लोग देखेंगे, बलोच लिबरेशन आर्मी और जो उनके ऐसी ग्रुप्स हैं, जो गुट हैं, वो जब देखेंगे जो पाकिस्तान की आर्मी तो अंदर से बिल्कुल खोखली है, ये तो बिल्कुल भी सामना ही नहीं कर पाई भारत का किसी भी प्रकार से। ऐसे ही तहरीक तालिबान पाकिस्तान, उन्होंने तो ऑलरेडी मेजर कर लिया होगा जो भाई पाकिस्तान की आर्मी में कितना दमखम है, क्योंकि वो तो उनसे जूझते ही रहते हैं। सिंध में भी हम देख रहे हैं कितने प्रॉब्लम हो रहे हैं, खैबर पख्तूनख्वा में कितने प्रॉब्लम, पीओके में कितने प्रॉब्लम। तो मैं समझता हूं जो अंदरूनी कलह पाकिस्तान में बहुत शुरू हो सकती है, इसके बाद इसका अनइंटेंडेड कॉन्सिक्वेंस ये हो सकता है जी, जो अंदर की कलह शुरू हो जाए। और जो इतनी यूनिटी है, ये 4 प्रोविंसेस 5 प्रोविंसेस जो इनके हैं, उनमें भी कलह आ जाए। एंड मे बी दिस इज दी, हम बात तो बहुत करते रहते हैं बहुत सालों से, जो अब पाकिस्तान फेल्ड स्टेट है और कगार पर है ब्रेकअप के, परंतु शायद ये जो अब सिंदूर हुआ है और इसके बाद के जो इवेंट्स हैं, शायद दिस इज एक ऐसा धक्का लगे पाकिस्तान को जो उसकी यूनिटी के लिए भी काफी नुकसानदेह साबित हो सकता है।
जी बिल्कुल, कई बड़े बदलाव पाकिस्तान के भीतर आने होंगे इससे पहले कि जो आतंक के खिलाफ जो लड़ाई है उसको पूरी तरह से सक्सेसफुल माना जा सके। अनेजा जी, क्योंकि हम अभी उसी पे बात कर रहे हैं और अभी मिस्टर सज्जनहार ने बलूचिस्तान की बात की, अंदरूनी कलह की बात की। ऑपरेशन सिंदूर करने से पहले ही पाकिस्तान में कई सालों से कई इलाके ऐसे हैं जहां पर अंदरूनी कलह चल रहा है। बलूचिस्तान प्रोविंस एक है, खैबर पख्तूनख्वा में चल रहा है, सिंध जो उनका प्रांत है उसमें भी कई मुद्दों को लेकर लगातार सरकार के खिलाफ, आर्मी के खिलाफ वहां प्रदर्शन होते रहते हैं। आपके इस बात से सहमत हैं कि अब अगर अफगानिस्तान को नहीं भूलना चाहिए, क्योंकि पाकिस्तान और अफगानिस्तान के बीच डूरन लाइन को लेकर बहुत मतभेद हैं, अफगानिस्तान ने डूरन लाइन को मानने से इनकार कर दिया, तो आपको लगता है कि ये सब बहुत महत्वपूर्ण फैक्टर होंगे ऑपरेशन सिंदूर में, जिस तरह से पाकिस्तान को मुंह की खानी पड़ी है भारतीय सेना के हाथों, उसका खामियाजा उनको उधर भुगतना पड़ेगा पाकिस्तानी सेना को। और अंततः जो बात आप कर रहे थे कि एक स्ट्रक्चरल चेंज होना चाहिए, शायद वो अंदर से आनी वहां शुरू हो,
ये पॉसिबिलिटी है, क्योंकि जो क्राइसिस था पाकिस्तान के अंदर वो बहुत गहरा था। लेकिन अगर हम जो उनके आर्मी चीफ हैं उनकी मंशा देखें तो वो इतनी बड़ा क्राइसिस आ गया था कि किसी तरह से भारत को उलझा के वो एक एंटी इंडिया प्लेटफॉर्म क्रिएट करना चाहते थे पाकिस्तान के अंदर, ताकि वो अपना क्राइसिस को जो डोमेस्टिक आ रहा था उसको किसी तरह से रोक सकें। तो मुझे लगता है कि क्योंकि विकल्प नहीं है पाकिस्तान सेना के पास ज्यादा, तो और साथ में टूटने की कागार पे है, तो मैं ये रूल आउट नहीं करता कि जो कुछ भी हुआ ऑप सिंदूर से कि पाकिस्तान फिर से कोशिश कर सकता है आतंकवाद की। इसीलिए इसका जो हमारा टेक अवे है सीज फायर के पास, इसका टेक अवे मैं जो समझता हूं कि वह हमें अपनी तैयारी जो है काउंटर टेररिज्म पे और अच्छी करनी चाहिए और मजबूत करनी चाहिए। इसके कुछ लेसन्स हैं, अगर इसके प्लसेस बहुत हैं, लेकिन और तैयारी की जरूरत है। और हमारे को सिर्फ असला बारूद की बात नहीं मैं कर रहा कि आपकी इंटेलिजेंस पेनिट्रेशन कितनी होनी चाहिए, पूरी तरह से डिप्लोमेटिकली आप तैयार हैं। चाइना के साथ आपके साथ कुछ है संबंध कि अगर हम पीओके में जाए तो चाइना पाकिस्तान 2 फ्रंट वॉर ना हो सके। ये सारे पहलू हैं जिसको हमको तैयार करना है, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि उसकी अंदर की कमजोरियां हैं लेकिन वो टेररिज्म से अभी तक कमर नहीं टूटी है. डेटरेंस है, बाय ऑफ कर सकते हैं, लेकिन कमर तब टूटेगी जब अंदर स्ट्रक्चरल चेंज आएगा. वो फिर से एक एंटी इंडिया प्लेटफॉर्म क्रिएट करने के लिए ये फिर से कर सकता है ऐसी कार्रवाई. तो इसलिए सतर्क ही नहीं रहना, लेकिन इतनी मजबूत तैयारी करनी है कि अगली बार अगर ऐसा हुआ, और यही मंशा है कि हमने कहा है कि नेक्स्ट टाइम इट विल बी एन एक्ट ऑफ वॉर, कि अगली, और साथ में बाकी प्रेशर लगा के, इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी लगा के, इकोनॉमिक स्ट्रैंगल होल्ड करके आपको वो स्ट्रक्चरल चेंज लाना ही होगा. उसके बाद ही मुझे लगता है कि ये जो टेररिज्म का जो हमारा कंसर्न इस वक्त टेररिज्म है, कि उसमें लास्टिंग, स्ट्रेटेजिक और परमानेंट सफलता हमें मिलेगी.
Okay, so clearly India will have to keep up its guard, keep moving on both kinetic and non-kinetic actions and strategy there as well, as you're pointing out. And Mr. Sajjanhar, let's shift a bit of a focus here and look at the larger picture as well. The global perspective as far as Operation Sindoor is concerned, and the reason why India had to go in for Operation Sindoor. We all are aware that there was vehement support from the international community. A constant dialogue which was happening between our foreign minister and various other foreign ministers of major countries, our NSA and NSAs of different countries. And there was vehement support for India's right to take an action after the Pahalgam terror attack. In the present situation, how do you assess the overall international scenario? Because no country in the world is going to say or do anything in support of a country which is inflicting terror. But everybody will be in favor of those who are in this fight against terrorism. And India is on the forefront.
No, absolutely. You're very right, that India is in the forefront of fighting terrorism. But as far as this disinformation and misinformation campaign that Pakistan resorted to, and I must say that, it was reasonably successful in that. So I think when Atulji was talking about that we need to prepare ourselves much better as far as countering terrorism is concerned, I think this narratives is also a very important issue that we need to focus upon, and we need to sort of, take cognizance of that, because I'm sure, all your listeners would have heard that, right at the beginning of the conflict, meaning in fact on the 7th night itself, when India launched the Operation Sindoor and destroyed all these 9 hideouts of the terrorists. You know what the defense minister of Pakistan said? First he said, we have downed 2 aircrafts of India. Then he said 3. Then he said 5. And Rafales and Su-30s and all that. And, this report actually went around like wildfire to different countries. And, I'm currently in Singapore on a lecture tour. And there have been so many people, not only from Singapore, but from different countries who, participate in this, in the program where I speak. And they say, even till today, they ask me, has Pakistan shot down 5 aircrafts? And we know that, the Pakistan defense minister, he was asked on the CNN that, do you have any evidence to corroborate that you have shot down?
It was a hilarious response from him, saying that it is available on social media.
Yeah, he says it's all over social media and over Indian social media. So, I also we need to be rather mindful of what, how we deal with social media, particularly as far as such sensitive matters are concerned, because social media tends to, and I think our Foreign Secretary in his briefings, he has mentioned categorically that nothing of this is all a figment of lies, that Pakistan has been spreading. So I think this is definitely something that we will need to, take cognizance of. But if you permit, one other aspect,
please go ahead.
or 2 other aspects, which I would very quickly like to mention here, because I think that they are relevant.
Please.
Number 1 is that, we had as far as Pakistan's nuclear bogey is concerned, because they would always say that, we have nuclear weapons and small nuclear weapons and not so large nuclear weapons, and we can throw these at you, so you cannot do anything. So they were having this overhang of the nuclear umbrella that you cannot come and hit us. Of course, we moved against that in surgical strikes in response to the Uri attack, then in Balakot. But I think this time we have, by raising the bar so much and going so close to Lahore and in Punjab and all that, I think we have completely demolished this nuclear bogey that Pakistan had. The second aspect, if you permit,
please,
very quickly I'll mention, and that is that, Pakistan was using all these Chinese weapons, Chinese aircraft, JF-17, JF-10, AWACS, HQ-9, air defense system. None of them worked. And I think that is very poor advertisement for the Chinese weaponry, Chinese equipment that they have manufactured. And I think that also provides us with lessons that, of course, China is our main adversary as to, what preparations we need to make when we are dealing with that adversary on the northern border.
Indeed, and of course, this conflict may also be a very positive advertisement for the Russian weapons, because the S-400 worked miraculously well as far as India's air defense system is concerned. Quick comment from
and also Akash.
Yes,
also
of course, Akash as well. Of course, indigenous systems have played a very, very important, significant role in...
important role, yes.
Yeah, both Operation Sindoor and the fallout after the provocation from Pakistan. But quick one comment on the international aspect, Mr. Aneja, before we, wind up this program, is that the international players, the major ones, will have to practice what they preach, as our Foreign Minister time and again have said, in terms of, putting the sponsors of terror like Pakistan in a corner to ensuring that the money flow is at least taken care of.
I have a little different view here. You are always looking for, you need a favorable international environment, which means big players are important. At the end of the day, when it is your fight against terror, I think you have to go independently and not care beyond a point of what these international pressures are coming on, because it is ultimately our fight. And so much can the international community come into the picture. We have to take it there, even if it means unpopularity for some time. Just one small example, 1998 nuclear tests. The world was against us. But what happened? We stuck to our guns. Finally, they came around. I think on counter-terror also, we have to take this similar position.
Okay, there it is. Thank you so much, Mr. Atul Aneja and Ambassador Ashok Sajjanhar as well. That's all we have in this edition of Spotlight. But listeners should stay tuned for hourly bulletins in Hindi and English. Thank you.
You were listening to a special program on ceasefire between India and Pakistan and the current situation. The participants were Ashok Sajjanhar, former ambassador, and Atul Aneja, strategic analyst. Moderator was Vishal Dahiya, senior journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsttalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 9289094044.